Alright. This one is a little touchy. I'm making this video for, or about, maybe both, black people. Now, you can call them African Americans if you want to be PC, but we're all African Americans. We all came from Africa. I mean, obviously a lot of us were in Europe for a while, and that's how we got white, I guess. But originally, I mean, the people that were born here that are black are probably just as African as I am in reality. They might have roots in Africa, but I've got roots in Africa. Mine just go back a lot farther. Anyway, I'm not claiming I'm African American, but I just like the word black because that's what the color looks like, or brown people, Say brown people, people think Latinos, so, most black people are really just a darker shade of brown. But anyway, this is off topic. Basically, I wanted to talk about several things. First of all, I want to talk about the stuff that's been going on with police. I do believe the police are racist. A lot of the police are racist. I do believe racism is still a problem. A lot of people are racist. And I don't want, if there's ever a race riot, I'm hoping that those people who are standing up for, civil rights, especially when it comes to racist police officers, won't come looking for me because I'm not, I'm on your side on this one. I think that, a lot of these, it depends on the situation, but, especially that kid that was killed in Ohio, that kid should not have been killed. The guy that was, selling illegal cigarettes in New York, that guy should not have been killed, There's other situations where it's less clear 100%, the guy in Missouri or whatever, I don't know. The report says that he was charging the guy or whatever, I don't really know. That could be biased. I have no clue. Certainly, it was that guy who was that guy on the East Coast somewhere. Maybe it was the Baltimore guy. I don't know exactly what's going on, but at least the ones where there's obvious video of things going on. At least I know for a fact that the Ohio one with the kid getting shot, that's BS, and the guy getting suffocated to death, that's BS. So I'm on your side, especially if there's video evidence showing that there was no wrongdoing. And generally, I think cops need to learn how to subdue people without killing them, and they do seem to be quicker to pull the trigger on black men because I think of racism. And that's got to stop, You definitely see, I think they'll give white guys more of a chance, especially if they're racist. And I think there's still a lot of racist white cops because I think cops, they're kind of, it's a power tripping position. And I think people who are on power trips can tend to be more racist because they feel like, black people are taking their power. I don't know. As far as my history, I have descendants who fought against slavery, and I also have descendants that were supportive of slavery. So, I'm ashamed of that side of my family. Franklin Pierce, I'm distantly related to him, and he was not good for the slaves. But I did have some relatives who fought for the North in the Civil War. So, But regardless of all my history, I don't have. I can guarantee you, I haven't made any money from being white. I'm poor as hell. Don't have any inheritance coming from slave owning family or anything like that. So, if you're thinking that I'm somehow personally benefiting from slavery, then you're crazy. And I think there's a lot of white people. I don't have any problem with reparations on those white people whose families are wealthy and are directly benefiting from slave labor that was done for their families in the past. And I guarantee you that there are white people who are enjoying that privilege, and I'm not one of them. I'm not getting any money from slavery. I never will. Never see any of it. I'm not responsible for slavery. I had no choice over it when I was born in the world. what was going on, and if I could take back slavery, I would, but I have no control over that. So I just want basically I'm trying to say that I don't consider myself to be a racist, and I'm innocent as far as I personally didn't do anything to impress black people or haven't personally benefited. Now, a lot of white people can't say that. A lot of white people probably have personally benefited from slavery in their families past, and a lot of white people are probably still racist. A lot of white people have a hard time with black people getting equal rights, mostly from the South. We do live in California here, so we're pretty, we're less likely to be prejudiced here in general, although there are still racists in California. There was a recent story about how one of our police units was racist. But the reason why I bring all this up is because I don't have any black friends. I work with black people who, I'm friendly with. They seem, some of them like me. I say hello. I treat them with respect. I think I have nothing against them. I don't have a lot of friends in general, so it's not like I choose not to have black friends. But what I wanted to mention was I feel like, that as a white person, it's hard to make friends with black people because I think, there is a divide that happens between white and black people, and sometimes it's a divide from white people, and sometimes it's a divide from black people. I have nothing against black people, but I guess what's tough is that culturally we're very different. I don't want to. If I'm spending time with a black person, I want to talk like I talk. I'm a suburban white guy. I'm not going to be talking with Ebonics, whatever they call it, Ebonics, I don't know, but, I'm not going to be talking, ghetto slang. And, not all black people talk that way, I realize. In fact, few of the black people I know actually talk with ghetto slang because they're older. And, the people who talk ghetto slang tend to be younger and trying to fit a, rap image. But I think that the whole talking with that kind of ghetto slang, using stuff. I have white friends who talk like that, and I don't know if it was. I feel like in a way it was kind of designed to exclude white people, that kind of talk, because and it continues to be. Rappers keep coming up with new words that I think they intentionally know will not be understood by white people, and it's because there's a certain, I believe, black clique that develops. Maybe it's because of they're still angry about slavery. I understand that. Maybe it's because and that's got to be it. It's got to be anger about white slavery because I don't know. It's hard for me to hang out with people who speak with slang and kind of expect me. I don't think they're expecting me to play along and talk in slang because they know I'm a white suburban kid. I don't know any of the modern slang. And I don't understand why so many white people attempt to pretend that they're black or try to emulate black people. Black people, I think, are, like I said, are coming up with a lot of the slang so that they can differentiate themselves. And as a white person, we can't identify with the black struggle. We didn't, most of us don't grow up in the hood. If you grew up in the hood and you're a white person, then I guess you can use slang, and it makes more sense for you. But basically, I feel generally excluded from the black community a lot, and I feel like the black community kind of looks down on embracing white culture. Black people will give other black people a hard time for listening to rock music or heavy metal or whatever. You're expected to listen to rap or whatever else, soul or R&B. I guess that's really dying out now. It's mostly just rap now. But and I think it's just sort of ends up being kind of a it becomes a cliquish kind of thing. It's like black people are excluding whites because of some still remaining anger about some things that happened 100 years ago, and that a lot of us, my generation, had nothing to do with. And I understand that you don't know which of us have benefited from slavery. Some people have benefited from slavery, but most of us, or at least most of us in California at the very least, probably haven't benefited from slavery. And it'd be nice to get the benefit of the doubt from black people. I'm not saying that black people don't treat me with respect. They do. They're very nice to me. But I don't have black friends because of anything that I do. I think it's just because black people generally don't reach out to white people to be their friends. That's not been the case for me. I've had more white people reach out to me to try to be my friend than black people. And I don't reach out to be a lot of people's friends in general, white or black. But most of my friends are people I've known for a long time. I went to school with some black people, but I think I only had one high school friend, so that doesn't really, that doesn't really apply here. I don't know. Most of my friends are people I grew up with from a very young age, and I grew up in Western Massachusetts, and then, most of the people I met from Southern California I didn't really retain friendships with because I generally don't like people that much in Southern California. Sorry, Southern California. I'm a Southern California, formerly Southern California myself. I don't like most Californians in general, I'd say. I'm a self-hating Californian. But anyway, so all I'm saying is that, I guess I'm just asking black people to, stop thinking of white people as uncool. It seems like there's a stigma on white people and everything that we do, Rock music isn't as cool as rap music, and we can't dance, and black people can dance, or at least that's the stereotype anyway. Obviously, there's a lot of black people who probably don't know how to dance. There's probably a lot of white people who can dance great. But I just feel like, it's like for example, I hung out with Marshawn Lynch one night. That sounds a little crazy, but I'm a chauffeur, and I took him out a couple nights to the club. They were friendly to me. It wasn't like they were, but at the same time, everything just felt foreign. I mentioned that he had good water. I had some of his water, and I was like, oh, that must be reverse osmosis. And he was like, what's this? What are you talking? Reverse osmosis? And it almost had this vibe like, it was uncool to understand that the water was filtered by reverse osmosis. And it's kind of like, it's uncool to have knowledge about, how your water is produced. It's like, am I getting too white and technical? It's like knowledge shouldn't, and I think that's one of the things, I feel like, a lot of times, culturally, being knowledgeable, sounding intelligent, sounding kind of, there aren't as many black dorks, is what I'm saying, or not that there aren't that many. There are black dorks, but it's uncool to be seen as a black dork. You're too intelligent, and that's seen as a bad thing in a lot of black communities, or at least as far as the coolness is concerned. And I don't understand why there's this sort of push in black groups to try to dumb things down with this ridiculous rap talk, code talk. It's like, and that's not how educated people talk. They don't say things like I don't even know. I don't know what the slang is these days. I read a lot of it on I've seen it on Twitter before, and it's just like it's almost like just dumbing down the English language to the point where everything is represented by, noises instead of actual words. It's just like, it just seems like there's this trend in black culture that it's not cool to sound educated. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson, for example. I've mentioned him before. You know, a lot of people like him, but I feel like the white community has probably accepted Neil deGrasse Tyson more than the black community has. And that's because I think that, you know, there's some stigma about being an educated black man. Or maybe it's about being educated in general, but, you know, I'm not trying to say that, I don't know. It just seems like there's an unnecessary divide between blacks and whites, and a lot of it is from white people who, are prejudiced, but a lot of it is also from black people who exclude white culture. You know, maybe they have reason to. I mean, I was trying to understand why black people didn't listen to Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was black, and he made rock music what it is today. Well, what it was 10 years ago. It's not much of anything today. But black people, were more interested in back then. Were more interested in soul or R&B records, Motown. Why didn't they embrace Jimi Hendrix? Why didn't black people embrace psychedelia? And why aren't they hippies? Why don't they like? Why don't black people like heavy metal more? I'm not. This is obviously there are exceptions to every rule. There are black people who like heavy metal. There are black hippies, but they're clearly in the minority, because you go to any heavy metal show, you go to any hippie show, electronica, kind of similar thing. You go to most electronica shows, and you're going to see a lot more white people than black people. White people will dominate. And I want to know why that is. Why is it that you see so many more black people at a rap concert and not at... And what is keeping black people from embracing white culture the way white culture is embraced? White people have embraced black culture. What is keeping? Let me say that one more time. What is keeping black people from embracing white culture the way white people have embraced black culture? And if I had to guess, it would just be, that there's still a lot of resentment about slavery. But I guess all I'm saying is I'm making a plea here that, you shouldn't be judging us based on what happened a long time ago. And if you are going to judge, then at least judge those people who have directly benefited from slavery. But don't think that, I don't know, it's not fair that I'm seen as, less of a friend opportunity, or that because I don't speak, ghetto slang. It's not fair that you'd be embarrassed to be seen with me because I'm a suburban, boring white guy. That shouldn't be a barrier for black and white people to get together. So to sum up, I appreciate your struggle, especially when it comes to the police, and I understand that you might still have some resentment, but you should know that I have no prejudice personally. I feel like I can get along with anybody. I treat everybody the same, and I'm just curious as to why the divide still exists, and why. Just as reverse racism shouldn't exist, reverse racism shouldn't exist either. And I think that the longer black people attempt to exclude white people by creating a culture that they don't understand, like, the longer blacks try to exclude white people by creating a culture that is meant to be exclusionary, the longer it'll be before black and white people can see eye to eye on things. If we can't relate to you, then we're not going to respect you. No, not respect you, I should say that. If we can't relate to you, then we can't connect, and we can't get past our differences. And really, most of the differences are just imagined. They're not real. And I guess I'm just asking black people to also not be afraid of education, and not be afraid of speaking in a way that utilizes, English in its original form. And last thing I'm going to say about this is, I tend to do much better with black people from Africa. People who are African descent. They seem to be have less of a chip on their shoulder. They seem to be less exclusionary. They sound more like you know they speak English more like everybody speaks English. And when I say educated, I'm not talking about white people. I'm talking about people everywhere. Most people that speak English don't speak in ghetto slang. They speak normally. That seems to be the ghetto slang thing. Seems to be a trait that is mostly American black people. But black people from other countries seem, speak, fine English, and I can relate to them fine. But the exclusionary nature of how black people oftentimes behave in this country makes it hard to connect with them, and just keeps the racism divide strong to the foreseeable future. So if you can manage to, stop excluding white people with your culture, then we can get along just as I get along with black people from England, or black people from, the African people from Africa, or any black people from anywhere, really. I don't know. I would say the Dominican Republic, but I don't really meet many of those people, and I wouldn't really get along with them particularly well because they speak Spanish. I wouldn't get along with them, but I wouldn't understand them the same way I wouldn't understand ghetto slang. Well, this probably makes me seem like a racist, but I swear to you, I'm not a racist. And that's how I'm going to end this. Totally disjointed.